Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Maryann Petri. You can find me, my books, and blogs on dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com. I have a return guest. I have Mr. Theo Chino back on, and I totally welcome you. We're going to talk about, what to be happy for Christmas, and we're going to talk about lawyer bills and how lawyers treat their clients. So I totally welcome you, Theo Chino. How's it going?
Hello, hello, hello. By the way, that's not how we say hi to each other in Chicago at all.
Exactly. Hello, 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 hello.
We say, how you doing?
Oh,
What's
how are
going
you?
on?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
how we treat each
it's
other.
right. It's the holiday season. And,
Exactly.
you know, it's about goodwill towards other human beings, right?
Supposed to
It's
be.
about, I mean, Hanukkah, Christmas, whatever else is going on, whatever else, somebody like Kwanzaa is coming up, right? This
Yep.
is all that time of the year. And it's about treating other people well. And then you have this um, profession called a family law professional, and they are like a chameleon.
Mhm.
They act just like a predator. They're very stealthy and they don't come out and show themselves right away because while they're stalking their prey and they're in that tall grass and they see you drinking out of a babbling brook,
Yeah.
they're just sneaking up on you. They don't growl at you from far away and let you know they're coming until they get that retainer, until they sink their teeth into the back of your neck. Could you hear it right now? David Attenborough,
Yeah.
and the gazelle leans over and the cheetah pounces. So they act super nice when they're getting your retainer and they're like, oh, yeah. And they're like mirroring everything you're saying because you're cranked up about something because something's not going right in your life. We're not just talking about family law,
Mm.
criminal law. We're talking about probate, which
Mm.
is a whole nother thing,
Animal.
a whole
Oh,
nother area of law that predators can lurk in. And don't get me wrong, they're not all bad, but 99% of them give the rest a really bad name.
hmm.
And what they do is they empathize with you. They repeat things you say. They act like they're taking everything you say as the gospel truth. As soon as they get your money, they're treating you nice.
Hmm.
But when the flow of money might be interrupted, you will start to see the real them. And there's one lawyer out there. His name is Charles Ray. He has been the same guy whether he's getting your money or not. He's there fighting for you, and he doesn't threaten to drop you because you don't have any money to pay him.
Hmm.
He's in that small 1% of family law professionals. And then I was just on the phone call the other day with a family court victim who had been preyed upon and terrorized by not only she had lots of issues with the other parent of her children, but she had this whole gang of predators aiding and abetting this person to not only terrorize her, but put her children in further danger. And again, this is all according to her, right? You have to be very balanced.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
if I were in family law, I'd be listening to someone call me and crying about their problems and everything else. And I'd say, that sounds really horrible. And I want to tell you right now, I really feel bad for you. And based on what you told me, this is terrible. But before I go 100% in and backing you up 1,000% and go swinging at this other person, I need to investigate. I need to look into this because, right now, you may even believe fully what you're telling me. But as we step back and look at it, maybe it's not your ex doing all these things. Maybe your ex is just being encouraged by another family law industrial complex predator to act like this.
Hmm.
And that is one good thing that Charles Ray tried to always do. He always tried to calm things down and he'd always remind me, remember, he'd say, anytime you're talking to a client, remind them you're going to have to raise children with this other person after this whole circus is over in family court. And it's a very important thing to remember.
Hmm.
If parents who are dragged into family court, or families that are dragged into probate, or whatever, if they would just kept that in mind to say, hey, there's a tomorrow, there's a day after this court case, there will be problems. It
Hmm.
won't be like magically all problems in your life will cease to exist. But then I was on this phone call with this woman who called an attorney who had emailed her, or actually left her a voicemail. And he was calling her up for, guess what? Money, right? He had
Money.
dropped her, and she conferenced us on this call, and she said, what do you want? And he's like, well, your bill's overdue. And she's like, is your how's everything going? She's like, terrible, thanks to you.
Mm.
And he's like, what? She's like, your case is still going on? This has to be one of the oldest cases in the county. And she's like, yeah, thanks to you and your buddies. She's
Oh.
like, I figured out everything, the whole game that you all were playing on us. And he's like, well, I'm sorry to hear about that, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, now you want money from me too? And she just let him have it. And he's like, well, best of luck to you. Goodbye. Goodbye. I don't think we're going to have a civil conversation. He's hanging up on her.
Oh.
That is how they really feel about you
Hmm.
before, during, and after they get your money. They don't care about you.
No.
They don't. Everyone listening to this out there, don't be a sucker. Don't be a fool. These
Hmm.
people don't care about you. And they may look like you. They may belong to the same church as you. They may
Hmm.
whatever. They are in this practice to make money.
Hmm.
Look at this email that's on the screen right now.
Hmm.
This is the retort from a lawyer in Indiana named Justin. And he's obviously a little cranked up because the FCVFC was asking for bills, invoices, and fee agreements. Now, when we talk about billing investigation, they have an FFI director's office, Financial Forensics Investigation Director's Office. See, unlike family law predators, we won't just sit there and act like we're 1,000% on your side, even though we know pretty well what family law practitioners do and how they do it. But we do want to get the full story. When a victim, or let's say an alleged victim of the family court predator matrix, the mob, the network, the syndicate, when they come to us crying, we have to say, hey, could you request them to send all their invoices, bills, and fee agreements? So like, I have all that already. It's like, great. I want to see what they have. I want to see what they're saying the billing is from that. And they go, but we already have that. Why do we need that? We don't want to bother them again. They're threatening to charge me if I do that. First of all, they can't do that. They should not be doing that. That is against the ethics codes. If you look at the American Bar Association rules, study them for yourselves, comment below, prove me wrong, but they shouldn't be charging you because you're trying to resolve a billing issue. So he gets all cranked up here, as you can see.
Do you want me to read it in my ex-husband's monotone, degrading tone?
Please do. Yes, I love it.
Okay.
Go.
I have taken the liberty to investigate your website, nonprofit, mission statement, and whatnot. I think the overview of these areas speaks volumes about the position and reason as to why you are sending this email and any such preconceived notions you may have regarding my representation of my former clients. As such, I will not be sending you any documents related to this case, nor am I going to entertain answering your questions below, nor will I be interacting with you any further. Having said that, I would note that my former clients have been provided all such documents during the course of representation, including copies of all invoices, statements, pleadings, filings, court decisions, etc. Invoices for,
To
oh, he wrote a long
invoices
one.
for, oh, it's long. This was on a Saturday. And right after he said he's not going to answer any questions, he starts answering questions in the email. When people come to you and they say, they're an attorney, they're really smart, they have a law degree, they went to law school, they've been doing this for decades, they are morons. And you know what? Just like me, just like you, we all have our flaws. We're all stupid in different ways.
Mhm.
They are definitely no exception. I mean, look at this. He goes on to talk, 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 right? You want to
Yep.
keep going? Go ahead. I love it. And
Okay.
action.
Okay, invoices for services have been sent each and every month since 2020 with no objections until here recently when I began pursuing collections of their severely delinquent account. I would note that I represented my past clients in two different counties. One was 2 hours away. In two hotly contested matters, another case in this county related to those two cases, and an appeal with the Indiana Court of Appeals that produced a very favorable result for my former clients. This legal representation was over the course of, this legal representation was over the course of 4 years. My former clients should be very, very much aware of the actions that produced the end result of where they are today. And the
Oh,
certain reports issued in this matter support that position along with very recent action taken by the parties in one of these cases. To blame me for their current situation is an absolute insult. I am highly confident of my representation and billing in this matter, and the same will stand up in any court, especially given the explanation of the extent
cares.
cases and the copious amounts of legal work undertaken over 4 years. It would appear the mission of your organization is to advise persons making contact with you with legal opinions about how their legal cases should have been processed, legal advice about Indiana legal procedures, legal billing practices, etc. Going forward, any future communication by your organization to me must include the identity of an Indiana licensed attorney who is making the communication. It is my guess that no such person exists at your.
Oh no, it looks like all hope is lost. He's telling us we need to have an Indiana licensed attorney. No, we
Oh
don't. See what
no.
they do? They lie to you and they box you in and they tell you you're gonna fail because of this, this, and that. So don't even try.
My guess that no such person exists at your organization is my opinion. The services that you are providing to these persons constitutes legal advice, and if you do not have an Indiana licensed attorney providing that legal advice, then I will be reporting your organization to the Indiana Attorney General's office for their investigation of the unauthorized practice of law by your organization.
And
Lastly, please advise my former clients that their account has been assigned to another entity and collections activity is being pursued as litigation has been filed to enforce the terms of the attorney-client agreement. They should receive this paperwork next week. Further interaction with you and or other third parties acting on their behalf will always be dealt with in a respectful and professional manner, but ultimately will cause these folks to incur additional legal fees, including in collecting on their account due to the time I must expense in addressing these matters, including reviewing and responding to this email.
sincerely, Justin. Now, this is funny, right? Because someone is claiming that he didn't bill them properly. And the FFI director's office ran a little analysis on what the client was able to provide about his bills, just a sample. And his bills are not airtight, they're not even watertight.
Mm.
They don't look very good at all. And his former client wrote a review about how they felt about his service. See, this FFI director's office and the foundation that he's referring to, they don't want to go after lawyers that fought really hard, did their job to their best ability, and then maybe things didn't turn out exactly perfect. So they're kind of mad. They don't want to go after those kind of lawyers. They want to go after people like this because he's saying it's going to be respectful and professional, right?
Mm.
Well, guess what? So, oh, there's Pappuccino. Um, Here's the exchange between Jill Jones Soderman and him. And she
Your,
says, you know what? Oh, go ahead.
do you want me
Go
to
ahead.
read it? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Do it. Do
Your
it.
response is just about exactly what I expected. My email to you neither rude nor defensive. I stated absolute facts in my email. If that is your response to factual statements as being rude and defensive, that's on you. It is very evident from your response that you have zero actual experience practicing law or legal billing. I am very confident my billing will withstand any scrutiny by any court or reviewing agency. The total bill that I billed to these folks is what some firms would have charged just for the appeal I handled. Had you actually worked as an attorney and had past legal experience, you would understand that. So, having said that, it again seems you are advising my former clients about their legal rights and options. At this time, I'm requesting you provide your Indiana bar number to me as you presented yourself as being their legal representative.
Never, no such thing was ever done. Now look at this. Now this is the reply. And she says, your sloppiness and ineptitude speaks for itself. I have nothing to do with real review, legal billing review and investigation. Keep digging. Just be an adult and deal with your former client who is a pro se litigant seeking information from legal, not me. And then it just goes on. He says, and then he goes, sigh.
Sigh.
Have a good night, Justin, attorney at law.
Oh
You see,
no.
he's going to be respectful. He's going to be professional. Really, this guy, this is all on a Saturday now.
No.
So if you look at it this way now, all right, what are the possibilities here? This guy really poured his heart and soul out, and he worked really hard. He charged nothing, and he tried his hardest for these people. And these people are just bad people who don't appreciate what he did for them. Maybe, right?
Mhm.
Or what's the other possibility? Oh, he's a lazy
Personality disorder.
drama. Yes, personality disorder. I mean, again, we're not doctors. We're not authorized to issue, but we're seeing some things here, these actions. He's lazy, he's drama prone, he's entitled. I mean, again, based on his interactions. He'll go and say, I'm not going to do this, and then he'll turn around and do it in the next paragraph.
Hmm.
And he feels entitled, like, I'm going to charge for you guys asking about your bill. Now, he says that he's part of the Indiana bar and all this other stuff. He should know that is not appropriate. And him saying, I think that my bills will withstand any scrutiny and blah, blah, blah. Well, let's see about that. It's like now he's setting himself up for possible huge legal action, and maybe his name is going to get put up in a billboard in his area.
Hmm.
And maybe a lot of other people that feel like maybe they weren't treated right by this person and definitely not billed properly might come out of the woodwork at this guy
Hmm.
instead of him saying, gosh, these people are destroyed. I ate up every last penny they had. And now I'm coming after them for money right before. Oh, Merry Christmas. Here's a bill. And if you don't pay it, you're going to collections. We're going to cause you more stress.
Oh, definitely. Do you want me to talk about my bill? I know we were talking earlier about I had gotten a bill.
Yes.
Okay, so about a
Yes.
week, this was a week and a half before Christmas. And I'm trying to get presents for the kids and whatnot. And I get this letter from my lawyer's office saying, hey, we just want to let you know that we enjoy working with you, but you are due to pay us $8,000. And we need this money uh, before the 22nd of December, something to that effect. And I've, and then it ends, have a Merry Christmas. And then so I ran into the office the next day and I was swiping a charge card just
Oh,
because I thought I didn't want to, 'cause I was really stressed out. I mean, the whole situation, you know what it's like. And it's like I'm just swiping and just putting it on a charge card because I can't lose this loser lawyer,
yeah.
before
which would have been the
Christmas.
best thing, right? And so there, I
Yeah.
know a client of mine who is currently going after his past law firm for malpractice as well as overbilling. And that client, that law office is notorious for overbilling. One of their office staff was let go because it was her job to keep the billing straight. And they would accidentally fat finger 2 hours into 20 hours. And she would catch that all the time. And you think they'd say, "Oh, thank you. Oh
You're
my goodness, I would have been so embarrassed." They were mad at her, like, "Get rid of her. We don't like her." So this office is notorious for being just horrible. Their clients down the river
yeah.
and overbilling them. And this guy, same thing, right around this time of year. "You better get your bleep, bleep, bleep together, or I'm going to drop your beep," right? This is how you're being talked to by someone who supposedly took one course of ethics in college, like maybe 30 years ago, maybe 40 years ago,
Hmm.
and who has to do CLE, continuing law education, and who takes an oath and agrees to act professionally and ethically. "I'm gonna drop you, beep, 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 if you don't." And this poor parent, like they're in some meat packing facility, and these kidnappers, these extorters are going, "If you don't give me money, you'll never see your kids again."
Hmm. Hmm.
And there they are threatening you during the holidays.
During the holidays. And, that was something I had to be really happy for during Christmas, the Christmas holidays, because at least I had the credit to swipe a charge card for $8,000. So I was really happy about that.
Christmas miracle.
Miracle. Yes.
Thank goodness for credit cards.
Oh,
You know, And if you think about it, if there was billing fraud on that bill that you had to swipe that credit card for, I don't know, maybe the credit card company might also want to investigate that as well, because a lot of people end up not being able to pay their credit card
mhm.
bills because of all of the terrorism and inappropriate actions and
Yep.
inactions of these bar mob associates who prey on families while they're going through rough times.
Hmm.
And then what happens next? They can't pay their bill.
Or
And the
or their
credit card
child
company has,
support.
or their child support, and the credit card company has to write it off. And I
Hmm.
don't know, there's a certain amount that they're okay with writing off, but I really wonder if credit card companies really looked at the hundreds, probably billions of dollars they could recoup if they looked into family law, air quotes, practice billing and try to retrieve money that they were never paid. I wonder if that would be worth, I don't know. And we're talking billions. I think there's somebody out there who would like to get a little piece of that.
Hmm.
And maybe they would. And it would be interesting to see one of our one of our friends out there partner up with a credit card company and say, "Hey, I was fraud was perpetrated on me over electronic or the mail, right?
Hmm.
Or electronic transmission. And that fraud resulted in me not being able to pay your bill. And here's one little example of one item that I'm disputing that never happened. This meeting was unauthorized and this person had nothing to do with my case. And oh, yes, they happen to be running for the local county board while they're getting this money. Completely fraudulent.
Hmm. Hmm.
Do you guys have a problem with this? Just a question.
Right.
So, Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Have a Merry Christmas.
Sigh.
Yeah.
he
Oh,
just he he just exudes maturity.
oh, right. Right.
And what did Shakespeare say? He was talking about how he's confident that his billing will withstand any scrutiny by, I'm like, methinks thou doth
I'll
protest
protest
too
too
much.
much.
I
Mm.
don't know. We're gonna see how this shakes out. But this poor individual that was preyed
Mm.
upon by a really messed up system in her neck of the woods and getting overcharged by this person and just seeing the way this person is acting right now, instead of saying, "Fine, you want your bills and you want your fee agreement again? Sure, here you go. You know what? Go ahead, ask for it 100 times. It'll be the same every time. Here you go. What else do you want? You have any questions? Because I think I did a good job. I tried my hardest for you. It sucks. The
Hmm.
judge was nuts. The
Hmm.
the fix was in. You know what? That
Hmm.
one thing that they lied about you and the judge believed and blah blah blah. It sucks. None of that. He's turning around, he's blaming the client to a third party, right? He's already breaching attorney-client privilege by doing that. If you see the other comments he made, right? I
Hmm.
think she's aware of what she did and blah 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 to put herself in this situation. That alone is a breach of attorney-client privilege. So the more we interact with these family law professionals, these barristers, these esquires, these attorneys,
Esquires.
right? These lawyer liars, the more they talk, the more it becomes difficult for them to keep their story straight. And that's what we want to do is just facilitate good, clear communication with them.
Right. Because, what this guy has done is that DARVO approach. People wonder what's DARVO. That's the acronym for deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. That's exactly what he did to that client.
This is very important, Miriam. This is the biggest part of this education that we're giving because I think this is, I like to call it, I think what we're doing is edutainment. Hopefully, this is a little entertaining and maybe a little stress inducing to some people, but also a little vindicating, a little, maybe a little bit of healing going on, going, wait a minute, that's what they did to me.
Mhm.
Maybe I shouldn't feel so bad about myself. Oh no, Darvo. A lot of people don't know that their own lawyers were doing it to them.
Right. Gaslighting them. Oh,
Correct.
I don't know if I ever told you this, Theo, but when I hired my, I guess, second attorney, and I know I signed up for whatever, he called me, and this is the first day because I signed the paperwork, I gave him a retainer. 6:30 p.m. I get a phone call because I just answered it. I didn't recognize the number, and he's calling me up, screaming at me on the phone, saying, "I can't help you if you don't have $30,000." I said, "Okay, well, wait." I said, "Look, I'm just a per diem nurse. I will pay whatever, I will pay the bill, but I just need you to know you've got to kind of work with me." And I think what he found out was that he probably shouldn't have taken the case because the fix was already in. And he was mad because he's stuck with me. I just figured that out, as you look back in time and say, oh, that's probably what happened.
Yeah, that whole screaming at you part was, how dare you think that I'm actually going to work and do anything?
Right, right. In
For,
fact,
for me to even think about working, I'm going to need $30,000 just to consider it.
oh, right, right. And when I met him before, well, when I gave him the retainer, he says, "Oh, yeah, I'm friends with Judge Kelly." And I thought, "Oh, excellent. This is great. I've got somebody in my corner. Maybe this will help get her off my back." No, no, he sent in his underling to argue, where she also, I think I told you this, that she did not submit PVF verification forms 15 days prior to a de novo hearing, which torpedoed my case.
And now, knowing what you know now, there was no real case going on because that's not even a real legitimate court of law.
No.
It's, and then here you are being fooled into acquiescing to some fake, sham, unconstitutional improv theater order. But as this guy Patrick that I know always says, they do have the sheriffs at their beck and call, and they have 9 millimeter jurisdiction, and they have the keys to the jail,
Oh, yeah.
and they have billy clubs and pepper spray, and they get nice and fat off of our tax dollars. So when they come to drop off the top rope and drop an elbow on our heads, they're nice and heavy. And
Mhm.
so that's the big problem is these sheriffs, these bailiffs, all these people, they're also convinced. that these orders are lawful,
Mhm.
and they're not because they're not constitutional.
Right.
There are,
Right.
there's no semblance of a constitutional court of
Mhm.
law in the domestic relations division. Again, everybody listening to this, like, hello, hello, hello. He can make fun of this all he wants, but you know what? In family court, where's the option to get the case dismissed? Nowhere to be found. It's not even a
No.
part of the procedure.
Mm-mm.
Where's the jury? Where's the option to have a jury? Nowhere to be found. Why? Oh, because that would be too hard. Well, maybe you shouldn't be doing anything then. If it's too hard, just don't say you can do it. Just stay out of it. Well, where are these parents going to go? I don't know. Where are they going to go after you drain them dry of every
Mhm.
last drop they have? And where are they going to go then? They're going to have to figure this out on their own anyway, aren't they? After you bleed them dry, they could have figured it out or done something crazy without being bled hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe
Mhm.
millions of dollars, right?
Right. Right. It's sad. It really is so sad.
Yeah,
And people are going through this every day. I don't think America realizes, well, this is a global issue anyway, but especially here and the parents I've talked to and the desperation in their voices, this is just so sad that people are, run through like cattle in these family courts that I think should be abolished. Take it to civil court where a parent can have a jury if they want.
correct. If there's some child that's in, so just recently there was a deposition and someone who had gotten involved in this case inappropriately and went to a guardian ad litem without authorization. They had the duty to protect the privacy of their former client, patient, whatever you want to call
Oh,
them.
the HIPAA.
They, yeah, the HIPAA, right? They went in and they allegedly disparaged one of the parents horribly, said all these things, and now there's a lawsuit and all this other stuff. And at the end of the day, 3 years later, after all this chasing, this person says, well, I never thought this parent was a danger to anyone, to their spouse, to their children. Well, I thought this parent was an excellent parent and loved their children and would do anything for them. And I never said those things to the guardian ad litem. And here we are again. It's just an unconstitutional, chaotic circus. And it's just all designed, it's like a sausage factory. And
Hmm.
anyone that thinks that your judge actually remembers you or was paying attention at all or cared the slightest bit about your family, I'm sorry to inform you, but this is your whole universe to you, your family. You're going in that courtroom and you're just a link of sausage in the
Hmm.
sausage factory.
Oh,
That's
yes.
all you are. That's it. You remember Laverne and Shirley? Remember the
Oh,
beginning?
yeah.
Well, all the bottles are going by and they finally get frustrated and put their gloves on top of the beer
Oh, yeah.
bottle, right?
Yeah.
It's like this. You're just one of those bottles of beer going past Laverne and Shirley.
Oh,
That's all
definitely.
you are to them. That's it. And then these predators come in and they act like they care about you. Oh, Maryann, we're going to get that dirty beep, beep, beep. We're going to make him pay. I can't believe they did. By the way, speaking of paying, Maryann, you have $30,000,
No, but I
right?
charged it up
Like,
though.
right? You know, we're going to make him pay. Oh, by the way, can you pay my retainer? There they are, always after that. And they will just sit there and play empty. These are the ones who actually make a lot of money doing it,
Right.
right? It's also kind of like the realtor world. If you're familiar with how the realtors work, it's maybe 10% of the realtors maybe make 90% of the revenue. Don't quote me 100%.
Mhm.
But I think these family law people just like, oh, they're connected with the judge. Oh, yeah, everybody uses them. Oh, they're worth it. Blah, blah, blah. By the way, why is divorce so expensive? Because it's worth it. Ho, 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 ho.
Yeah.
No. Why is divorce so expensive? Because the family law industrial complex needs to keep growing. Ha, 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 ha. That's why.
Hmm.
That's why.
At the
You know,
expense of the taxpayer and our children.
correct. And then you think it just stops with this Mr. Sigh. He can't even spell sigh right. right? He's got
Right.
to be dramatic. He cannot stay professional because he's just a person and
Hmm.
probably a very messed up person at that. I mean, by looking at the way he's responding, he's probably not very good at what he does. The way he's acting regarding a simple request like this tells me a lot about how much he knows about his business and what he should be acting like. He's
Hmm.
not really scoring an A+ right here,
No.
right? And these people, they will just do anything to make this money and make it. Well, I've got office expenses. I've got to pay my malpractice insurance. I've got to do my
Well,
continuing, right? It's
right.
like
Well,
that's our
he's
problem.
and he's happy that, around Christmas he gets to, he has the money to do all that. So he's really happy that he can afford to take his family to Disney. And they have a lot to be happy for Christmas. In fact, get this, you'll like this story. I was in a child support conference, and the ex was sitting across from me, and so was his attorney. And his attorney said that, oh, he's taking his wife to Disneyland because, she's been so sad lately and depressed. And
Oh,
I thought, oh, please. He's only been there, what, 7 times a year. And I felt like kicking the ex under the chair saying, hey, ding dong, you're paying for his trip. Do you get it? Seriously, do
right,
you get it?
right. And he didn't see it, did he? He just
No,
didn't
he
see
just
it.
sat there. He always looked like I don't know, tortured. But seriously, yeah, if I was a lawyer, I wouldn't even bring that up. I wouldn't bring up that, oh, we're going on this lavish trip. I would never even bring that up.
Right. Right. There was one litigant that I was involved in their case, helping them kind of manage the the drama around the case with the players, the lawyers and liars, and the judge in the case. And this parent was trying to schedule a trip with their children,
Mm,
and their lawyer got pissed because they're like, "You owe us money, and you're taking your kids on a vacation."
mm,
And I told the parent to tell them that you're actually doing their job for them by testing the judge with this little vacation request to see where the judge's opinions lie, and that you're trying to shorten the case, trying to ascertain the mind of the judge and where the judge is sitting with all this false BS and all this fake lying and crying going on around the judge. This vacation request will tell it all. And guess what? It did. And it made those attorneys even more ticked off because what it was doing was killing the fighting. The judge didn't want to limit the children's time with either parent. The
mm,
judge actually was a new judge, so she hadn't gotten the memo yet, but she was looking and saying, there's no reason to keep these children from either of these parents. What statute or what law do I have to stand on that would allow me to do that to these children and these parents? And one
hmm.
of the lawyers, we call him Nike, goes, just do it. Just do it. You're
Oh
the
my
judge.
God.
Just do it. Right. And speaking about these fake lawyers, Nike, he was going, oh my goodness, yeah, 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 acting like he cared about his client's religion and squawking and screaming and saying how great their religion was. And in the hallway, when he had to talk to the other lawyer about it, the other lawyer's like, what's going on with this religion? He's like, I
Oh,
don't know. Nobody knows. Just lying and crying for 375 an hour.
oh yeah, yeah. It's amazing what damage they can do in even less than an hour.
Right. And sometimes, again, it's their inappropriate actions and inactions that at least sink your case. Like you believe your case is sunk, and you're like, I'm done now. I could never even look at the judge anymore after that just happened. And you just kind of go away because you believe that some tragic error has been committed. The only tragic error that's been committed is the fact that any American allows their children to be pulled in onto a pirate ship named the Domestic Relations Division.
Mhm.
That's the only tragic error. Everything else is just a subsequent consequence of dragging children onto that pirate ship that traffics children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just recently, we had a pardon, big time.
Oh, don't even get me started. I think I'm gonna like lose it. We have so many people over here losing it with this Luzerne Kids for Cash scandal, where ex-judge Michael Conahan was pardoned by Biden. And from what I understand, Judge Mark Chiavarella was out of there. I think he was on house arrest with the pandemic. That's from what I understand. What do you think of that? Put it this way, I think someone who is not mentally competent shouldn't be pardoning anybody.
Well, see, that was the whole thing, the whole toggle switch back and forth. And again, I'm not going to get into people's politics and
Yeah.
you can formulate your own opinions. I recommend people go into multiple news outlets, not just your one preferred news outlet that just kind of tells you things that you're used to hearing and makes you feel good. Go look around a little bit. But there are judges on house arrest after trafficking children.
3,000 of them. And what it did to
Three,
their parents. One kid only was there for 3 minutes before the judge. And I think this was a 10-year-old. And they put cuffs on that kid, didn't even let him say goodbye to his parents and hauled him off for, what was it, a sentence of 4 years, something like that.
oh my goodness. I mean, Genghis Khan is getting jealous right now.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
It makes
it's
Genghis Khan look like a prince.
seriously. And maybe I mean, compared to these people, yes, at least he went out there and rode a horse and shot some arrows and risked himself a little bit. These guys are sitting there all nice and safe with their guards, and people are walking in and handing their children to these people, right? And I call them people, and I use that word very loosely. And
Hmm.
now they're getting pardoned after being convicted. Do you know how difficult, do our listeners know how difficult it is to get a judge in trouble for anything? They could be busted on videotape with DNA evidence and 1,000 witnesses. And God Himself is going, He did it. And
Hmm.
still, it's almost impossible to get. And these people got in trouble and now they're getting pardoned. So, to all these people go, hey, just get over this. Hey, you know what? There's more important things going on. The Bears are playing today. They'll probably lose again. And all this stuff is so much more important, right?
Hmm.
Oh, this and that and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, why is it that judges who are almost impossible to get nailed for anything are going to jail and now getting pardoned for trafficking children?
Hmm.
Ask yourselves that. And if this new administration coming in doesn't do anything about this network that the family courts have established, this domestic relations division
Hmm.
network, this mob, this association, this syndicate, this RICO network of child trafficking, if they don't do anything about this, I don't care how much you love our new president coming in. He's got to do something about this. This is
Hmm.
low hanging fruit.
Hmm.
Like you said, just dismantle it,
Right.
take it apart,
And
throw everyone.
put these two
Good.
judges back where they belong. They need to serve out their time. And someone had told me, in fact, one of my friends was so upset, she called me because there's a documentary on Apple on the Kids for Cash scandal. And she said that the one judge was saying, well, if I go to prison, I'm not going to see my grandchildren grow up. It's like, oh, no
Oh,
kidding, really? Because these poor parents lost so many years with their kids. And these kids didn't even do anything that bad that would warrant a prison term of 10 years in a juvenile detention where they were all getting kickbacks for all of this.
yeah. And then the federal funding rain, just make it rain with the federal funding. And that's what was really going on behind the scenes. So
Right.
when DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, comes on board, if they don't start looking into things like Title 4D, Title 4E, and these entitlements, which on their face, when you ask, go onto AI and start doing your research, go onto Wikipedia, go Google it. Look it up. On the face of it, it's just all beautiful words. It's just like Joseph Stalin.
Mhm.
All beautiful words, nice smile, and an awesome mustache. But murder,
Mhm.
millions being tortured,
Oh,
deprived of their rights and their lives. And it's just that's what's really underneath the surface on top of this nice little frosting, on
right.
top of this
And
evil, disgusting
some of
thing
these
going on,
kids, right, some of these kids have unalived themselves over this. I mean,
unfortunately.
who can come out of any prison feeling back to the way you were or what you once were? You're completely changed. I don't care if you've been in there a week or 2 years or 22 years, you are a different person.
Yeah, and then you're also surrounded by other people who are going through bad times and who some of them are have made some very bad choices and are committed to continuing to make those choices.
Hmm.
And after being exposed to them, it's like coming back from college, but not, the kind of college that most of us know about. It's like you come back even smarter, knowing how to do even more damage. And now because your life has been, you have this scarlet letter on you now,
Hmm.
you don't really have a chance to be a normal person and be productive anymore.
Right. I
So they
mean,
just pushed you into the system and
right.
keeping you there.
Even though they did expunge these kids' records, but still they're not the same.
No, they'll never see the world the same.
No.
They'll never be able. And some of them, maybe one of them will watch this podcast and join our expedition, our crusade, whatever you want to call it, to expose this tentacle of this
Hmm.
giant child eating squid. And this is one of the tentacles, the domestic relations division, the family courts. Another one is probate law and probate lawyers, right? On the
Hmm.
face of it, it all makes sense. It's like, yeah, we need something like that, right? But here come the predators. Here
Hmm.
come the sharks. They smell the blood with all their pilot fish coming
Hmm.
around and just coming to eat. I know a family in Florida right now that's going through HE double hockey sticks
Mm.
because a family member died. He had a fiance. There was a will, but the will left everything in place to the family, not to the fiance. And the fiance found a scummy probate lawyer, and here they are blowing up so much money that by the time the property's sold, there'll be nothing left of the equity. The lawyers will have eaten it all up.
Hmm.
Why? See, as soon as this fraud's uncovered, like, hey, this should have never been on the table in the first place. Boom. You need to give back all of your fees. You need to pay these fines and turn in your license,
Hmm.
right? And there's a lot of attorneys. So we're going to do a podcast hopefully soon on attorney fee agreements. I
Hmm.
read a good one. There's this guy out here, they call him the Hammer, and I got to read one of his fee agreements, and it said that basically we will not commit fraud on your behalf. We will not commit any criminal acts or assist you to do anything fraudulent or criminal.
Hmm.
It says that in their agreement. But we all know that their clients are lying most of the time and they're coaching their clients on how to lie better and get away with more in this really at at the most mature, this junior high school theater called family court just to
Hmm.
drive up the bill.
Right.
So
Very sad um, topic, you know. And then people say, well, it is what it is. It doesn't have to be what it is. People need to stand up and make a change, help make a change, speak up, write letters, speak out, tell your story. People are welcome to contact me at dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com if they want to discuss anything, talk about their story. It's very sad. It's just all, especially with this pardon, everyone's been unglued since this has happened.
yeah, I mean, I know people who have more of a tough time getting over the last Bears game. Like you didn't know
Yeah.
they were going to lose, than getting over this. Why is that?
Hmm.
Why are we like that? In the old, you're not going to do that to these children.
Hmm.
You're not doing that. Yeah, but she's bad or he's bad, and the kids are being where? Show us. What happened? No, nothing. Yeah,
People will care when it happens to them. Now, I remember when that Kids for Cash scandal was breaking out in 2008, 2011. I was like horrified that these judges were doing this to these kids. Why
yeah.
couldn't they have
I
done the
saw
right
that
thing?
too.
Yeah, why couldn't they just have done the right thing? So I was bothered by this back in 2008 and 2011. And then this pardon, I was like sick. Actually, I think I lost weight over this pardon BS.
And that's the thing. It's like when it happened, it should have been on the news 24/7 all day long. And we should have gotten like monthly updates on how the case was going. There was like one little blip and it was like, oh, that's weird. Oh,
Hmm.
well, I guess they straightened that out. And then now this pardon thing, this should be all over everywhere, and you're barely hearing about it.
Hmm. Hmm.
This is one of those where it's like, well, this isn't like we don't know who the carjacker was. We need
Right.
to find him. We don't know who this hit and run person was. We don't know. No, no, no. We know that this person did this, and now we know that they're being pardoned. There's a money trail there, and there
Right.
needs to be a good investigation. And I hope that these judges that were pardoned stay alive and healthy for lots of questioning,
Oh, lots.
lots and lots of questioning, and
Hmm.
lots of investigation around them and everyone tied to them, because they didn't just do this for their jollies, but
Hmm.
they probably also did it just to get their jollies.
Uh-huh.
They
Uh-huh.
There was a lot of money involved, and it probably went all the way up to the person that pardoned them.
Hmm. Hmm. I
Or
think,
else, why would he bother? Why would he
right,
bother?
right. It's disgusting. And I guess, you know, they'll have a Merry Christmas with their family. I guess they should be happy for that because other people just don't, aren't going to have Merry Christmases.
Right. Well, I mean, they're pretty horrible, ugly people inside and probably out too. So they're not really going to have a Merry Christmas, but they actually have a chance at having one. But they
Mhm.
took away other people's chance that could have had one to ever have one. That's the way I see it.
Yes.
I wouldn't want to be them for any amount of money. When I said torches and pitchforks, I meant that in the legal sense. We really should just legally neuter all of these law firms that engage in this kind of activity, because they hire these judges after they lose their seat on the bench. Everyone should be investigated and looked into. And again, just kind of like what they've done to all of these families, these millions of families over the last few decades, they should just be thrown in jail and have to prove that they're innocent. That's
Hmm.
all. Oh, that's not American. That's right. It's not. They aren't American.
Not at
That's why
all.
they should be thrown in. They're a domestic threat.
Terrorists.
They are.
Right. And this is why I've said it before, random drug screening, psych evals every year and a half, 2 years maybe, and lie
Yep.
detector tests when you think there's collusion going on between the opposing attorney and the judge.
Yep. How about financial disclosure? How
Exactly.
about
And campaign funding. That's a big.
campaign funds, right? Tracing all that. Yep.
Yeah. So, we do have solutions with talking to you about the billing and what really should, be done with these people when you um, approach them about their bills that they've so erroneously defrauded people out of thousands and thousands of dollars and their kids' college money gone.
Correct. Just wiped out. And what we tell our clients is, just remember, if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I don't know what I could do. It was so long ago. I don't want to go back there. I don't know. It was too long ago. It might not be. And it's like, well, I don't, I'm kind of afraid of these people. Don't be.
Mhm.
They're afraid. They're afraid that there will be more people that will catch on to this and start asking about their billing. Their billing, like we did that podcast way back when, Maryann, are
Mhm.
breadcrumbs to their crimes, right?
Right.
And if they were good and you catch something that was wrong on their bill from 10 years ago, they're going to go, thank you for catching that. Thank
Hmm.
you for asking. This is the ideal customer experience that I used to train people in my one of my job roles that I loved so much. Ideal customer experience. I mean, is that what we saw when we started looking at that email earlier on in this podcast?
Hmm. Hmm.
Right? We didn't see that, did we? So what we want to do is I want to encourage people to, you can do it yourself. Contact anyone you paid regarding your family law case and ask them for your bills, invoices, and fee agreements.
Hmm.
Even if it was 20 years ago, ask them. And you know what? This will be hopefully cathartic.
And
It'll be a
something,
cleansing.
and you can be happy around Christmas knowing that you're going to be able to do this. That
Right.
that's something to be happy for.
We might do one more Christmas podcast where we actually show people how the billing investigation process works when you partner up with the FFI director's office.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, hey Theo, what can you be happy for at
You
Christmas time?
know, I can be happy for the fact that God is good. He's everywhere. Sooner or later, everything will be fixed. And this little bit of time we have on this earth, He brought us together. He gave us a purpose. And I'm really happy for friends like you, Maryann,
Mm,
and all the listeners out there. I'm very happy to be able to share what I've seen so far. And I'm just glad that we have a path to go forward and to maybe rectify some of this damage that's been done.
exactly.
How about
Now,
you?
oh, I'm just happy that you're in my life helping me. So I don't know. I'm happy. I've got my tree decorated. I've got other tabletop trees around. So I'm happy that those are up. And I do have Christmas cookies in the freezer.
Oh,
But, and, we're just going to go about our merry way and watch movies all day and enjoy ourselves. So, it's going to be,
it's a wonderful life.
it's a
Maybe
wonderful life. Yeah. Uh,
maybe we should have a watch party or something. You know, what if there was a version of It's a Wonderful Life where we talked about people that practice family law and family law judges where they were never born? What would the world be like without them?
right, right.
We should make a new version of It's a Wonderful Life. It's not such a terrible life when they weren't born.
Yeah, right, right. Oh, yeah, exactly. Now, I
Oh,
will also want to mention the times you've been on my podcast because I didn't do that at the beginning. You have
sure,
been
sure.
on my podcast, season five, episodes 128, 143, 164, 187, and 192. Just so everybody knows that they want to look at Theo's podcast with me. And Theo, how can people reach you with your
Yeah,
email?
yes, you will. So Theo at alliedra.com is a good way to get a hold of me. Or Maryann's got all my contact information that she'll post below. Feel free to reach out. Let me know what you think. I love criticism too. Try to be try to be positive while you're telling me why you think whatever we talked about isn't right or it's not going to work. That's great. Challenge it. A lot of people just look and they tilt their head and they're like, I don't know, that'll never work. You'd be surprised the wild ride that some of my clients have been on. And again, it's just sometimes just a cathartic cleansing process. It's kind of a vindication of yourself where you don't have to beat yourself up so bad because you just didn't know and you got fooled by these fraudsters, right? And now
Mhm.
you know, and you could be a little mad at yourself for not knowing, but now you know what was done to you. You know who did it to you and why they did it to you. And then we'll kind of explore what we can do about it together. I'd love to look at it with anybody and see what angle they come up with because I learn so much from the connections that I'm making while doing this with people. I'm
Mhm.
learning more from them than I can teach any one of them, which is the goal.
Right, right. And that's another reason people should be happy. for Christmas.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, maybe everybody should send their former family law attorneys a nice little email asking for their billing and maybe even their law licenses and their malpractice insurance. Maybe they should send them that as a neat little Christmas card.
Oh, that would be sweet.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah,
I I bet you that would really put a little jolt of something in their Christmas season, wouldn't it?
exactly.
Just
Well,
imagine them sitting around wondering what's going to happen to them and their families while
mhm,
they're sitting around the tree on Christmas morning.
mhm.
Wow, how terrible, right? Like
Oh,
all of us experienced.
right,
There you go. And all we're doing is just looking at the billing. That's it. And if they were on the up and up or they're willing to straighten out any kind of misunderstandings, great. Awesome. No problem.
right. Do the right thing. Do the right thing.
That's it.
Hey,
Beautiful.
hey, don't jump off, okay, Theo?
Huh.
Slam the Gavel is a podcast to help the public understand what really is going on in these courtrooms. I'm your host, Maryann Petri, and you can find me on Spotify, YouTube. Please like and subscribe. Apple, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google, and other platforms I don't know about. Again, feel free to buy me a coffee to help keep this podcast going. Thank you, Theo Chino, for all your help and knowledge. Thank you, and Merry
Thank you,
Christmas.
Marianne. Yep. Merry Christmas. Ciao.
Ciao.